All right, guys. Call's being recorded, so say yes to that. That'll be your first yes of the evening. So first things first. Who, by show of hands or whatever, who's working on their flip it? Who's flipping something? Okay, Rod is. Clay, I already know you said you admitted that you have not. Jim, yes or no?
I have not found anything yet. The garage sales just started in the area.
Okay, well that sounds like a shitty excuse, but we're gonna let Palin. What do you got? What do you got, Palin?
I have a million things to flip, just haven't had it.
Okay.
I haven't been able to take some time to get something.
All right, so Will says he is, but he won't be coming out higher than he started. So you're going backwards?
I'll be breaking even, but I'm taking care of a buddy of mine. So it's a worthwhile cause.
Okay, well, that's not a winning cause. Okay. I appreciate worthwhile, but you can't go back. You gotta, okay, look, guys, here's the thing. This is I just got out of a school board union negotiation, so I'm all warmed up here. Okay, you guys are totally fucked tonight. All right. Here's the thing. This isn't an effort just to have something to do, right? This is a learning process and kind of gives you the opportunity to think outside the box for 30 days. Okay. So, I know it's fun loving here, but at the same time, the intention is to give you a tool and make you start going down the road to make money. Let's put it a different way. Right now, as this group sits, one of you guys could go out there and buy something for $1 and flip it and make $2, and you've won the contest, right? So that's how easy it is. But so far, I've got nobody participating except for Rod, and I am as well. Hopefully, I'm going to flip my horse next Sunday. They came and looked at it today, but neither one of us are in it. So, we're going to be doing contests throughout the year that are going to bring different value than what meets the eye, right? So, yeah, you get a chance, hopefully you make some money doing something outside of the box, but you're going to learn and have an experience of doing it, right? So garage sale season's not here. That's bullshit. Clay, you're too busy. That's bullshit. Will, at least you're trying. So guys, let's learn these skills, because when the shit hits the fan over the summer and you're scraping to get an extra $40 to take your wife to the movies or do something, at least now you know where you can go find $40 or something, right? The other way you can look at it too is if I flip something and I win, that's $100. Well, right now that's 2 months worth of your membership here, because right now we're on $49. So look at it differently. You've got 7 days and pull your head out of your ass and get something done. Let's have some fun with it. We're going to be doing something else in June. Okay. And Rod, do I tell them now or do we wait until the June call?
I say wait until the June call.
Okay.
So, but I do want to address this real quick, Jim. I'm going to hit this from another tack. First, it's like Jim said, this is a learning experience. There's something in this for you guys. And I'm going to tie it in from a different angle, okay? Real quick. And then I'm going to let Jim hit the floor because I know he's excited about tonight. So I had a conversation with Jim a week ago. And I was talking about when I was raising my kids and we had tight times and we were really, just pushing the envelope. We had a tight budget. We had kids in a million for a while. We always, we put money in tithe. We put some money away. We paid our bills, but we always kept money in a frivolous account. We could go blow it on something stupid. Didn't matter. We wanted to go do something crazy. We went and did something crazy and we didn't feel guilty about it. It made us feel good. And so I know like Clayton, for example, right now, you're under a bunch of stress. You're trying to clear out stuff. You got this restaurant stuff. This is an excuse for you to do something frivolous for you. This can be a mental thing that just as you can disengage from the stress of work. You can disengage from the stress of all the crap going on in your life and just do something fucking fun, right? Get on Craigslist, Get on Facebook Marketplace. There's always stuff there. The garage sales are 24/7, right? Get on eBay, look at something. I mean, take 15 minutes and do something frivolous for you. Just say, hey, I'm going to look at this. I'm going to take 15 minutes. I'm going to see what I can get going here. So anyway, I got a little fired up there, but that's it. Do something frivolous. It'll be good for you.
Well, I tell you guys, if Palin gets his shit together, he can screw us all because he's got enough stuff over at his place. He could probably buy a house with it. And I say that kindly because he's got some great stuff. And I know a lot of that stuff he plans on selling. So, you know, again, this is just learning a little skill, thinking outside the box. This weekend, I spent the whole weekend cleaning out my shed because we're transitioning out of winter into spring, summer. I wanted to put my snowplow away and stuff. And I'm cleaning out my shed. I'm going, well, this is too good just to throw away. I could just donate it or I could flip it, right? So I had to flip it or sell pile, I'll call it a sell pile. I had the donation pile and then I had the trash pile. So I took care of the trash yesterday, but I asked my wife to come out. And so I had her take pictures of all the stuff that we could sell. She put it all up on Facebook Marketplace. And I think we've got like 9 things and we're just doing door pickup, right? Here's the item, $30, pick it up at the door, leave the money under the mat. I don't even want to talk to you type thing. And people love that, right? And I just told her, I said, you know, whatever we get from this, we can use that money to, you know, go out to dinner or have a drink or buy something for the kids. Like Rod said, it's just fun money. And I like doing that because sometimes it shows me like, hey, there's resources there. So anyways, guys, get your shit together. I hope on the next call, we've got everybody figuring out something and getting outside the box. And if I didn't push you on this little stuff, you know, look, as Jim learned in 75 Hard and Clay, I know you've been exposed to that as well. You know, it's all about the little things. And if you take these little things and allow them to add up, then all of a sudden you've got something tangible over time. So this is just one of those little things. So not to mention, I want you to participate. June, we're going to have an opportunity not only to follow our own mission statement of bringing value, but we're going to give you an opportunity to bring value to somebody else. All right. So I'm going to leave it at that. It's not really even a contest. It's an extension to our business. So, all right. The topic for tonight is getting buy-in and relationship building under the development category. But I want to, anybody know who Cameron Haynes is? Cameron Haynes, the bow hunter. Okay. Right now he is known as the top bow hunter in the world. Okay. So if you're in that world, Cameron is the guy, and he's got a new book out right now called Endure. Okay. I'm reading this book and it's kind of a life memoir. And I'm fascinated by Cameron because his level of athleticism, he is at the top of his game. And if you think about hunters typically, or at least this was my interpretation, Rod, not you, obviously, you know, from your past life or even now, but I always thought of hunters as kind of lazy, like, okay, I'm going to go out and shoot something and, you know, walk around in the woods, and, you know, it didn't matter what their physical fitness was like. What's happened to hunting in the last 10 to 20 years with guys like Cameron Haynes is that they've changed the dynamics of hunting. Now it's all about being physically fit to be able to endure that hunt. And now it's a matter of how fit you are, almost dictates the quality of the hunt and the animal you get, because you can hike further, go higher, get beyond the crowds nowadays, especially here in Montana. There's a lot more people hunting out there. And Cameron not only takes his hunting seriously, he'll shoot 20,000 arrows before he goes on his first hunt of the season. 20,000 arrows. Now I'll tell you, I shot 10 yesterday at 60 pounds, which is pretty light compared to, like, he's at 90 pounds, I think, on his bow. 10 arrows, I was fatigued, like, wow, I don't know if I can pull an 11th arrow back. This guy's shooting 20,000 before his first hunt. That's a lot of arrows per day. But more importantly, Cameron runs 20 to 26 miles a day, every single day, no days off. And he's also known as an ultra marathoner. And he has ran a 240-mile marathon He placed 27th. So I'm really intrigued by people that can take their personal bodies to the next level, because what that's doing is it's taking your mind to the next level, right? You're becoming passionate about something that you do. And I'm hoping that everybody that's in the group is passionate about not this group itself, but why you're in the group. What stimulated you in your life to say, you know what, I need something extra. I need to do a little bit more to get to that next level. And so I use this example of athleticism and what Cameron's doing as an excuse to say, guys, I hope you have a reason to be here and you can be as passionate about that as he is about his running, or you are about your families or the next step in your life. Now, he tells a pretty interesting story in the book, and I'll go ahead and give that away, but because there's so many more good ones. He talks about having a goal of running the Boston Marathon. And if you've ever been a runner or ran any marathons, you know that that is that's the top of the food chain to run the Boston Marathon. You have to run a sub-4 to even qualify to be considered for the Boston Marathon. I think for guys 40 and up, it's like you got to run like a 350 marathon to even be able to be in Boston. Don't quote me on that, but it's a pretty tough one. My first marathon in shape, I ran a 4:20, which is pretty damn good for my first one. I couldn't imagine doing a 350 in the shape that I was in. So the point is, he gets accepted to run in the Boston Marathon. He's done a few. He's got some teenage boys at the time, and they're all excited for him to go. Well, he found out that Lance Armstrong was running in the same marathon. And he's like, holy shit, the icon of all physical fitness and endurance, an Olympic athlete, top of his game cyclist, and now he's becoming known for other sports like marathoning. This is before all the controversy, right? So Boston Marathon's got a couple thousand people at the starting line. Lance is up front. Cameron happens to see him, and he thinks to himself, God, if I can only catch him at some point and run with Lance Armstrong for a minute, whatever that might be. And his kids were teasing him even like, Dad, there's no effing way you're going to be able to run with Lance Armstrong. He's an Olympic athlete. You're just a dad, right? That's the impression. So throughout the race, he's not catching him. Lance is gaining ground on him. He's feeling hopeless. And he got to a hill, and he realized that Lance was starting to slow down, and he starts catching Lance a little bit by a little bit. Now imagine Cameron's a bow hunter, and he's used to running mountains. So this is, his comfort zone. So he winds up reeling in Lance, and now he's running right behind Lance, toe to toe. And Lance looks over and he goes, this is fucking hard. And Cameron looked over at him and didn't say anything. He just acknowledged yeah, okay. But what that did for Cameron is he gave him the confidence that even this Olympic athlete was open enough to say, this is fucking hard, right? Like this guy was suffering. Now for Cameron, it gave him an extra skip in his step. He's like, okay, Olympian, I got you now, right? And he wound up beating him by 10 seconds or 19 seconds, something super close, but he did beat Lance Armstrong in this marathon. And, the thing is, I want you guys to know is that this is a perfect example of life. Okay. Life is fucking hard, and being in business for yourself, being an entrepreneur, working for somebody else is hard. There's really no easy days. Okay. There's days that are better than others. But if you guys want to be successful and really be great at what you're aspiring to do and be great at the reason why you joined this group, just know that it's hard. Okay. Whatever you think whatever the impression I've given you about my life and who I am, every day is hard. Okay. You have to strive to have what you have, do what you want to do, and accomplish the goals that you want to accomplish. They just don't come easy. Okay. Now, that's not to say that it doesn't come without reward, because I'm rewarded every day. I get to be with my kids. I got to drive them to school. My wife works from the house, so do I. So I've got to see her all day. We're all going to share a meal tonight. So there's a lot of rewards for how life is. But when you're having a busy week and you're like, well, I don't have time to do this flip it contest, or I don't have time to write my business plan, or I don't have, all those things, those are bullshit. Life is hard. And I texted Rod a quote that I heard Cameron say actually on an interview with Andy Frisella the other day. And he says, it's not a matter of getting knocked down, okay, because we all get knocked down. It's a matter of how many times you get back up, right? And I'll tell you right now, I intend on getting up every single time, okay? You knock me down, and I'm going to get back up every single time. So with that being said, there's no easy breaks in business and entrepreneurialism and happiness, okay? It's fucking hard. And I expect that we can not only give you the tools, but also be your support system for when it gets hard, okay? So that's my opening monologue. Russell, welcome to the show. You're going to have to go back and listen to what I just finished talking about. So I want to make sure you do that. And while I'm thinking about it, everybody try to find one another, and you can put it in the notes if you want in the chat. Find each other on social media. This group should be supporting one another and building out each other's network. So if you have a social media, please post it up. Rod, if you don't mind taking a note of that, I do have Clay on my social media, but let's support each other in what we're doing and know a little bit more about each other. And to me, this is going to build that ultimate network as this grows. And I've taken a lot of phone calls in the last couple of weeks that people want to jump in and are asking a lot of questions. So this thing's going to start growing exponentially. And trust me, in June, this thing will double in size. Okay, so let's become the support system that we know we can be. All right, so on to tonight's topic. As I mentioned, it's the category of develop, and it's relationship building and buy-in. And I took a shit ton of notes, so I'm gonna try to draft over some of them, right? And maybe you might want to take notes, or just make sure you back and listen to this call. The first thing in relationship building, right? And I'm going to put this in perspective of relationship building in business, right? We're here to be entrepreneurs and make money. The first thing I want to say is you need to believe in yourself, okay? You need to believe in the excellence that you can provide in this business environment, whatever you're going to be doing or whatever you're doing now. Maybe you're working for an employer and you're like, look, I just want to be better. I want to elevate my game. Well, you got to start with yourself, okay? Believe in excellence in yourself. And through that will come enthusiasm for what you're doing, especially if you're working for somebody else, because oftentimes it becomes monotonous and you're like, oh, I'm going back to work again. Well, if you can believe that you're going to be an excellent in what you're doing and believe in your own excellence, you're going to transfer that enthusiasm not only to your employer, but your colleagues and people that you work with. But also, if you're starting a business, you're going to be able to transfer that enthusiasm for what you're doing. And that's what's been fun the last few weeks, or at least since we started this group. People have been calling and asking about this. And when I send out a book, the book that I wrote, I'm including our flyer in there. And I've got a lot of questions. And I'm enthusiastically answering those questions because I'm really excited about what we're doing. And I think that we have the excellence to make people better, right? So as it relates to transferring enthusiasm and being excellent, there's 6 needs of a human, right? And the way that we can make money is by filling those needs, right? And transferring that enthusiasm for doing these things, right? So the first need is we need certainty. Okay, as humans, we need certainty that everything's going to be okay, that we're doing a good job, or that we're providing something. Okay. The other thing is another need is uncertainty. Okay, because when there's uncertainty, we need a little bit of variety in our lives to reach out and do something a little bit different, right? And that's probably why a lot of you are on here, is because you're going to reach out and start a business or be entrepreneurial or start a podcast or do something different or add something on top of what you're already doing. So there's a little bit of uncertainty in adding the variety of life. And that really, the variety of life is the second human need, right? Something different. There also needs to be significance, okay? Whether that's something that you're doing or being recognized for what you're doing. Okay, so understand that as you're trying to transfer your enthusiasm for what you're doing, is that you want to be able to provide that significance not only for yourself, but for somebody else that might get involved. Okay. Next thing is love. Making a connection with people, loving what you're doing and loving the ones around you and loving the ones that are participating in what you're doing. Clearly, you've gotten buy-off from them, right? So as humans, we need love. Growth. We're always aspiring to grow. Again, that's probably why we're all here on this call, is because we want to grow. I look at my own life, and right now I've got 8 streams of revenue. And I'm looking like, well, I'd like to have 10. That means I got to create a growth model, right? I always want to grow. I'm always looking to grow. In my mind, when I grow, some things drop off, some things I have to add back on. But I'm always looking to grow what I'm doing. And then finally, again, looking at the needs of humans is the ability to contribute, whether that's contributing your time or contributing to society or contributing in terms of educating people or making a difference. But we have this desire and need to contribute. Okay. So the reason why I point out these 6 needs of humans is because when we're talking about building a business, it's a little bit of recap, building a business, transferring our enthusiasm for that business, is if we look at these 6 needs of humans, we can start attacking those as we build our business and as we look to grow what we're doing. All right. And also, those are great areas that we can ask questions about if we're filling those needs as we look to partner or grow, add employees, raise capital, and I think a lot of people miss this in raising capital, because raising money for a business oftentimes tends to be looked at black and white. And really it's not. Matter of fact, and I'm not going to apologize for always quoting Andy Frisella, because the guy is spot on in my life and the value I get from him. And if you listen to him, great. I try not to be redundant with him, but what I do is I verify what he's saying and how it relates to me. And those are the things that I think are worth repeating. And I might have mentioned this on an earlier call about when I raised money for my tequila company. The $12 million that I raised over a period of 10 years wasn't raised on the business plan itself. It wasn't raised on the pro forma. Okay. It was raised on the relationship that I had with the investors. Okay. So when I look at the needs of humans, I nailed most of those 6 needs. Okay. And if you guys are looking to start a business and raise capital, you need to think about those investors. Okay. In these terms of what are their needs? What are they looking for? Because they're going to invest in you first and that performance second. And Andy, he reaffirmed that on a podcast I listened to earlier this week. He goes, I don't invest on a pro forma. I invest on the people. And he goes, quite frankly, most people don't cut the mustard with me. So I don't invest in a lot of guys, or people, I should say, right? They just don't fit who he believes will get the job done. Okay. I guarantee you, if his group was not doing his flip it contest, he'd be kicking your asses right now. So anyways, yes, I'm going to dwell on that a little bit more. All right. Now, when you look at believing in excellence and relationship building, I think it's important to have or know what your goals are. And you might even look at them. What are your dreams in business, and how you want to build your relationship with somebody, right? Bring them into that dream, bring them into that vision that you have for that business or that goal that you have where you're working. Okay. So let's just say, for example, you're working for somebody and you say, look, this is who I think that I am, and I'm enthusiastic for the job. These are my needs. These are being met. And by the way, this is where I see myself going in your company, right? Now, all of a sudden you got an employer going, shit, this guy's really thought about who he wants to be and where he's going, right? Alternatively, if you have your own business, I know we've got a couple small business owners here. Well, wrap your customers into what your vision is for that business, right? So maybe you're a manufacturer and you've got a couple things that you manufacture well, but down the road, you're going to expand that business. Well, you can go to your customer and say, hey, look, this is what we're doing. We'd love your feedback on this because we're thinking about going here with this business. Okay, we're really going to take it to the next level. What do you think about that? Now, all of a sudden, your customers are providing valuable feedback, and they're wrapped into your dream or your vision of that business. Okay. All right, a couple more little notes here. All right. Again, looking at who you are and your relationship building, do you believe in what you're offering, not only as a person, but what you're offering as a business or as an employee? Do you believe in that? Okay. Because if you're not believing in what you're doing, you're not going to get it off the ground. You're not going to convince anybody else about your goals and dreams if you don't believe it yourself. So go back to that, believing in your own excellence first, and then transferring that enthusiasm, which goes all the way down to, do I believe in what I'm doing? And it's good to gut check that once in a while as you transition, right? Clay, you're writing a book, sorry to call you out, but like as you're rewriting portions of your book, do you believe in what you're saying, or do you have to tweak it a little bit to feel good about what you're saying and doing within that book of work, right? Okay. Also think about, as you reaffirm yourself, have I personally benefited from this? And if I have, can I offer that to others and how they might benefit from what I'm doing and where I'm going with it? Okay. I like being genuine in my offer and what I'm doing and how I'm presenting that, right? And can I genuinely help people with this? Again, it's kind of going back to, do I believe in my dream? Have I benefited? And do I genuinely believe that I can help people with this project or your employer, right? I think it's also helpful to think about what you love most about the project and write that down. And then alternatively, what you hate about it. Because if you can flush those things out, then you can flush out how you fix it. Or you can identify that maybe this is a missed target, right? I know we already have a group member that started a project, goes, okay, I'm not sure if that's the right name or category. Maybe I'm going to shift it over here. And I don't want to say that went as far as hating it, but it's kind of a redirect, and it's by refining and asking those questions. What do I hate about this? Okay. So what I love most about it and what do I hate about it? And then kind of tie the two together and follow that direction where it takes you. All right. So I'm going to move on to, so a lot of that was relationship building. And I'm making some presumptions that we're launching businesses here, or we're working for somebody that you can apply these skills in what you're doing, right? All right. The other subject matter was buy-in. And I know I'm going lengthy before some Q&A. So if you got questions today, be thinking about them so you can tap them in there. We'll get back to them. Or you can type them in now. We'll go back to it. All right. Buy-in. This goes hand in hand with this relationship building. Okay. So you either want an investor to buy in what you're doing, you want a bank to buy in what you're doing so you can get a loan, or you want buy-in from your spouse or your family members, so that they can support you in what you're doing, or you want buy-in from your boss as you look to achieve that next level. But buy-in is so important, right? So first of all, watch your ego and control it as you start to talk to others to get your buy-in, right? Don't be that asshole that, I'm the shit and I have no faults. So check your ego first, okay? And oftentimes, and I've seen this even amongst the group itself already, oftentimes we're our own bottleneck, or we're our own worst enemy, right? We put reasons for not doing something and moving forward. And that could easily be seen from the outside. When you want people to buy into what you're doing or what you're going to be doing, don't be your own bottleneck right up front, right? Check your ego, and then don't be your own bottleneck. There's a reason why you've reached this point of being a part of something outside the norm, a group scenario like this, a coaching class, and you've obviously put enough thought and effort into it. So don't be your own bottleneck. I see it all the time. People, we go through these ebbs and flows like, hey, I'm going to do this. Then all of a sudden, oh, I've lost the confidence. You take 2 weeks off. We had somebody in this group call, he said, I just been a pussy the last 2 weeks. Well, you know what? Let's start over. Let's get out of our own ways. Let's get off our BUT''S's, like I said, a couple calls ago. Okay. So now we've got that out of the way. Let's shift the gear to given the perception of confidence. Okay. Back to that excellence. Let's provide that excellence in what we're doing. So if you want to get buy-in from people, give the perception of confidence, okay? Not too much, because then it goes back to that ego, or it might show instability, but go into your project confidently. There's a reason why you're at where you're at. Have faith in the process, have faith in your mind and where it's taken you this far, and know that you can achieve what you set your mind out to. The tools are in front of you, right? So leadership through confidence will get you the buy-in, not only from your family members, but people that you want to bring into the scenario, okay? So I like to say, lead yourself with confidence, okay? If you're just the only one in the room, you're your own #1 fan. How's that? All right. Here's something interesting about growth. If you can be, what I'd say, freakishly consistent about it, you will get buy-in, okay? And when I say freakishly consistent, sometimes that might take a month, a year, 2 years, 3 years. You know, most businesses, at least this was back in the day, and I think it still holds true today. Businesses take 3 to 5 years to succeed, okay? I've talked to Rod about this. We are going to be freakishly consistent with this group, all right? I don't care if only one person showed up tonight or nobody showed up. We're going to be consistent with this until this thing's exactly what we envisioned it was going to be. We're doing the same thing with the 1776 Syndicate. We had this exact call last week. And I don't want you guys to think, you know, we're these perfect leaders that everything we do and touch turns to gold. This shit's hard, right? So a couple months ago, we started the 1776 Syndicate for people that wanted to get involved in politics, want to help people learn how to campaign and run for office nationally. Well, we had 91 members leading into the school board election a few weeks ago. Now, granted, because this was our first go around, some of those members were close constituents that are elected, and we saw the value to have them in the group. Last week's call, we had 3 people: Rod, myself, and the guest speaker. What happened to the other 88 people, right? But that doesn't mean tomorrow night's call is not going to be badass. Rod has an awesome speaker for tomorrow night. Matter of fact, if anybody in this group wants to join tomorrow night, just send me an email. I'll send you the link for it. But the point is that's not going to slow us down. Rod lined up a fucking awesome guest for tomorrow night. And you know what? People that are members that didn't show up last week, they could watch that call. And if they don't show up tomorrow night, they could watch that call. Okay. But that doesn't mean that Rod and I are going to get down and out like, oh shit, this thing didn't succeed. We only had, you know, we didn't have any callers on. No, people are busy. It's a Monday night, it's campaign season. You know, the people on what we had is a bunch of school board members that either won or lost. So now they're digesting that. And then we're leading into the primaries in 2 weeks, and people are out working their asses off, knocking on doors. So we realized, you know, the bigger picture there, and we didn't allow it to get us down. Okay. And I want you guys to be freakishly consistent in your endeavors that you're seeking to do through this group, the things that we've talked about you individually, and have the confidence to do it, right? And know that it's going to be fucking hard. Just like that story I told with Cameron Haynes and Lance Armstrong, right? All right. And again, your tone should be consistent, right? So you're freakishly consistent, you're consistent on your communication, and then your tone should be consistent as well. Those are 3 different things, right? You're going to bat every day, okay? Not giving up. Now, my tone, hey, this is going to be a great project. We're going to win here, right? So your tone is an elevated tone of confidence, right? And then you should be consistently communicating that. Meaning, don't just talk about it on Mondays here in this group. Talk about it Tuesday through Sunday as well. Talk about it with your spouse or your friends, and just be consistent in those 3 areas. And what's going to happen is your mind's going to shift a gear, and your mind's going to start going, you know what? I'm doing this. Okay, I'm going to be doing this. And Jim, good thing you did 75 hard before you joined this group, because I'm going to refer to you every single time, right? But you know, one of the things you learn on 75 hard is you can do these things. You can add more to your schedule. You can be successful at it, and you can become a different person, and you can change your mentality through programming it to be the entrepreneur or the business leader that you want to be through these factors, right? be freakishly consistent with your communication, your tone, and where you're going. Okay. All right, a couple little small more buy-in stuff, and then I'm going to open up to Q&A. And Rod, if you can tell them about the guest tomorrow night, that would be good too. All right. I like to create a little bit of a dynamic tension in business, right? To the point where people are like, did he just say that? Does he really think he's going to do that? And I'm going to go back to the Cameron Haynes story, because reading through this book brought back a lot of stories to my life. Years ago, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, my brother and I decided we were going to climb Mount Whitney. And Mount Whitney's the tallest mountain in the lower 48 states, sits at 14,495 feet. Okay. Now, my brother and I, each year for the 4 years prior to that, would go and run to the top of Half Dome in Yosemite, which round trip, I think it was like 13 miles, up and then down, but we ran it. We made it a contest with some of his employees, and you better bet your ass that my brother and I were always within the first 5. And I know a couple of years I was the first guy back to camp. So here we are, we're gonna climb Mount Whitney. And my dad says, well, you can't do that. You got to use oxygen. You can't go up that high without oxygen. That's like 22 miles. And it's like, you know what? I can do that. And the whole room, like, are you guys kidding? Like, are you seriously going to do this? And my brother and I, who's older, he's like, yeah, that's something we want to do. Right. So we created this weird, uncomfortable tension amongst the family members, like, oh shit, they're serious. They're going to go do that, and we did. We went and did it 2 years in a row, and we had a successful climb. It was an awesome time with my brother. And that uncomfortableness helped us achieve our goal of going and do that. Right. I went as far as I literally ran it a few years ago. So when my brother and I did it, it took us 2 days. I ran it a few years ago in 7 hours and 20 minutes with my training for an ultra marathon. But, the point is that there's opportunities in our businesses. And if we're passionate about what we're going to do and why we're in this, is that people should get a little uncomfortable around us. Like, really? You're going to do that? You think you can do that? And it's your job to prove them that they're wrong, to show them that it can be done. And that's where you take all these skills on the buy-in and the relationship building and some of the earlier calls we had about mission statements and values. You pull all that shit together and you start showing them when they doubt you because you've thrown out a lofty goal, they doubt you, say, you know what, this is how I'm going to do it. And all of a sudden you start building confidence in yourself beyond what you've done so far to get this done. I don't care what any one of you are doing in this group. This applies to every one of your situations right now. This applies to me. Okay. I'll hold myself accountable here as I wrap up my 40-minute speech here. Again, you know what, guys? Get the book, because it's brought a lot of value to me in this last week. I haven't ran. Well, I ran the Spartan race a year ago this month in Montana, and I trained for the Beast, which is 13.2 miles, 35 obstacles. Couple years, or the year before COVID hit, I came in second place at this Beast in Montana, and I only lost the world champion out of Canada in my age group. So if I'm going to lose, that felt pretty good to lose to that guy, although I didn't like losing. Anyways, the last run I did was last Spartan race in May, last real race. And when I say that, I mean the type of race that I'm capable of doing. 13 miles for time with obstacles. Okay. I have not ran since then. 2 days ago, when I picked up this book, within the first 5 pages, I said, I'm going to start running again. So the next morning I got up and I went downstairs and I did an entry level light jog walk. Cause that's right now I couldn't run a fucking mile. Okay. The most miles I've logged is 43. All right. So 43 miles to my mentality. And I know I can't run a fucking mile right now. So I got on the treadmill. I logged some time. Yesterday came around and I was getting ready to go downstairs to run. And my wife says, you can't run right now. They're coming to pick up that horse. And we got a time constraint. So literally I was in my running clothes to go do that. and I didn't get it done. And I worked my ass off around the property all day doing different things. And kids put themselves to bed. My wife's like, hey, we're going to bed. And I'm like, you know what? I didn't run today. And then my little, person in the back of my mind's like, well, you worked your ass off around the property. You probably burned a whole bunch of calories. But that wasn't the point. The point is I didn't run yesterday. So I walked in the bedroom where everybody's at. I said, hey guys, I need to go downstairs and run for 25 minutes. Otherwise, I've already blown what I just started. So last night at 10:10, I went downstairs to get my 25 minutes in. And I was glad I did it. Today I got my run on. So again, holding myself accountable to you guys is I'm going to start running and being the person I should be as it relates to my own health and fitness. Okay. So as I go down that journey, hopefully I'm conveying all these things to you guys as I go through that journey again. Because let me tell you, once you've been at a place, it's hard to start back up because my mind wants to say, you know what? You're never going to be in that spot again. And I'm just being transparent and showing that we all have our ebbs and flows of strengths and weaknesses. And in my particular case, I'm like, there's no way I'm ever going to run a 43-mile ultra marathon again. Right. So I've got my own battles. I'm hoping that together we can overcome your battles in the entrepreneurial journeys you're making, or the projects you're starting, or your careers and taking it to the next steps. So let's do it together, have some fun on these calls, and I'll keep delivering what I'm doing. And by the way, nobody called me last week. If you guys need help, give me a call, give me a text, or let me know, because I'm not always going to be able to give you that luxury as this group grows. And that's really not, that's me giving you some added value. I don't care if you just burnt the toast for breakfast and you're pissed about it. Just call me and like, I fucked up the toast. Everybody's mad at me, whatever. I want to bring as much value as I can. And so does Rod, right? He's got there in the notes. Call Rod as well. Okay, guys, let's do this together. All right. You guys are our foundational element. A year from now, and we have 100 plus members. A year from now, I want to be able to say, hey, ask these guys. They'll tell you, man, we got it done. All right. So, Rod, if you could weigh in, and again, if somebody's got questions, raise your hand. Rod, if you could weigh in on anything, but also let them know who the guest is tomorrow night in case they want to join on that call.
Yeah, I'll cover that, Jim. First, I want to reiterate what you said, and that it's the first thing I wrote down on my notes. This is hard. Being an entrepreneur is hard. And I was thinking back to the first time I branched out when I got involved in a network marketing thing that I really went all in on, right? And I was working 50 and 60-hour weeks in a regular job as a retail manager. And I found 15 hours a week, and it was hard. It was hard to have that 15 hours. I had young kids at home. I had a wife at home, and I found an extra 15 hours a week, and it changed our life. But it was hard, and it's never been easy to do something else, to add another thing on your plate. Jim, you're talking about going to that 10th stream of income. That's hard, going from 7 to 10, adding 3 more things on it. There were times, in fact, before COVID, my wife and I were on a drive, and we said we'd gotten 7 different checks in that week from different ventures that we had. And it was like, wow, this is really cool. You don't even realize after a while how many balls you're juggling in the air when things are clicking, but it's getting there is hard. So, keep the balls up in the air, but you got to be in the game. And you're absolutely right, Jim. The consistency is absolutely everything. And the one thing, that was the thing that really hit home in your talk tonight, freakishly consistent. Sometimes I can't be freakish, but I make sure I do something with my businesses, with each one every day. Something. A phone call. It might be reviewing, the books. It might be seeing what inventory I have on hand. It might be connecting with a customer. I do something every day. And even if it's not big, I've done my something. It's like you did you run? No, I got to go run. You got to do something. So it doesn't, to be freakish is sometimes just being consistent is freakish enough, because most people aren't. They don't know how to be consistent. So anyway, great reminders, Jim. I appreciate that. And before I open it up, I'll just real quick hit on who we've got coming on 1776. It's the 1776syndicate.com. So you can check that out. The guest we have lined up is Frank Mealy. He's a retired newspaper editor in Kalispell. He's got 6 books on Amazon. This guy is, the neat thing is he spent his life in journalism and he never had a journalism degree. The best kind of reporter you can get, somebody who's not, somebody who's self-taught, right? So he's an entrepreneur in his own right, but he's just been following politics and he's never caved. I mean, he's just consistent. He's been consistent, and we're lucky to have him on. So, and he's still out there active and writing, and he has a realclearpolitics.com. He has a bi-weekly column on that. So, I mean, this is another person who's just relentless. You know, he's in it. He's found his niche. He's found his stride, and he just keeps pushing forward, pushing the needle. And I'm going to brag too, because the caller we have, the guest we have the next week is nationally known Rob Nadelson, probably the #1 constitutional expert in the nation. Rob Nadelson is going to be on the following week. So we've got national quality people we've reached out to, and it's May 31st, day after Memorial. It's the only time we could get him in his schedule. This guy's booked, months in advance. So we were glad to have him, but he's been quoted by, I think, every Supreme Court since all of us on this call have been alive with his stuff. So anyway, just kind of fun. And again, if it's just Jim and I and a guest, we don't care because we're relentless and consistent. That's all I got. That's my wrap up.
Thanks, Rod. Yeah, if you guys ever want to jump on one of those calls, no obligation to do it. Just tell me and I'll send you the code to get in on the Zoom call. But they're interesting. Not everybody's into the same things that we are on the political side, but I hate to have good guests, and if somebody wants to hear them, not take advantage of it. Again, because this has been the source of the topic tonight, this book is, look, guys, we're all the same. We're all human beings. We're all capable of doing the same things. It's all in our heads. The difference between us is what's in our heads and what we're willing to do, right? There, and this book talks about this woman, her goal is to run 450 miles. And she set out to achieve it. She got to 390. And she went to the ER and they said, you can't go on, because her lungs were drying out and she would probably, die out on the trail. But she reached her capacity. She reached the limit of where she could go. Now she knows exactly where her limit's at. But this is a woman that's been doing endurance running almost her whole entire life. She is known as the world's top endurance runner. She doesn't even get started till after 200 miles. So we're only limited by our minds and what we can do. I'm no different than you guys and the accomplishments I've had. And I think that that's the key of what Rod and I are trying to do here, is extract as much of that as we can and give you bite-sized pieces of that on these calls so that you can put that together and come up with something so that you're significant, or so that you can be different in your own lives. There's, like I said, there's some great stories in Cameron's book here, but I've got those same great stories. I know Rod does too, and I know you guys do too. And some of my stories are equal to his, because I've ran some crazy distances and done some oddball stuff that other people haven't. But it doesn't make me any different than you guys in your own abilities to achieve at the top level of your game. And I think oftentimes we need that reminder that we're capable of doing things. I'm hoping a year from now that I've just entered or come back from this crazy ultra race and you guys going, holy shit, he said he was going to do it and he did it, but there's going to be a whole bunch of hard days between now and then. Probably some days I want to quit, probably some days that I'll quit. Who knows, but I'm going to do everything I can not to. And I hope that you guys will do the same on your businesses. So, okay. Raised hands, questions. I'm going to wrap it up. We're almost on an hour here and got to be respectful. So, Rod, do you know what your topic is next week?
I believe that next week we are off.
Memorial Day.
But I can tell you, Here's something I did with our business today, Jim. I've got us booked out through January 2nd, 2023. I'll send it to you tomorrow.
Right on.
So where are we at? Memorial Day. We will not have a call on Memorial Day. You guys better be doing something with your family and visiting a cemetery, remembering people or something. But the week after that, the core value is inspire. And my topic is charisma.
Awesome.
The
Awesome.
fuel, gentlemen, the fuel, charisma.
All right, so let's say this, and I just remind you that I didn't hear from anybody last week. Just because we're not having a call on Memorial Day, which is the right thing to do, you guys have resources in Rod and I to reach out, and I'm hoping by that next call we've really made some ground movement. Okay, and you know, I want to be excited with you guys for what's changed in the next couple of weeks. But at the same time, if you're working on something and you feel the need to fill that gap because the day off, hit us up. Okay. I'm here for you. I'm available. So is Rod. I don't see any questions. So let's wrap it up. Thank you everybody for being on. It's great to see you guys. Keep pushing. All right.